Welcome to Gem International School where child excels. Let's begin with the chapter number 19, the excretory product and their elimination. Myself Viral Desai. What I am going to teach you in this lesson is how the metabolic waste, how the harmful substances are excreted or eliminated through the body. Which organs are involved, what is the mechanism of that organ in this procedure. See beta, by various activities animal produce ammonia, urea, uric acid, phosphate, sulfate and other ions like sodium, potassium, calcium, right. All these ions either should partially removed, either it should be totally removed. Say for example, if we talk about the water, so it is not harmful, so excess of the water is partially removed, but certain nitrogenous waste which is harmful should be totally removed. Which are the nitrogenous waste among all these? That is the ammonia, urea and uric acid, which is highly toxic, so we have to remove it very quickly. Ammonia is highly toxic and rapidly soluble in water, so large amount of the water is required to excrete it. Uric acid is moderate water soluble and it is moderate toxic also, so it requires quite moderate amount of the water. And urea is very less soluble in water, so require very less amount of the water and quite lesser toxic also. So highest toxic is ammonia, then urea and then uric acid. Okay, depending upon the excretion, we have divided the animals into three category: aminotalic, ureotalic and uricotalic. Let's begin with the aminotalic. Those animal who excrete ammonia is called as the aminotalic. Example are most important, you may ask in the MCQ, that's the bony fish and aquatic mammals are excreting ammonia. See, ammonia is rapidly soluble in water, so no energy is required. It can easily diffuse with the help of the skin from the higher concentration to lower concentration. In fish, it excrete through the gills. So all these are the aminotalic. Make a note that there is no important role of a kidney in this mechanism. Kidney does not play any role, no involvement of the kidney in this. So let's quickly revise. Aminotalic, those animals who excrete ammonia are called as the aminotalic. Example is bony fish and aquatic mammal. The mechanism, how it is removed, that it is rapidly soluble in water, so excreted through the skin by the diffusion. Fish is excreted with the help of the gills and no important role of a kidney in this mechanism. Then ureotalic is the excretion of the urea. It is quite less toxic than the ammonia. Terrestrial amphibians, mammals, marine fishes will do this kind of the excretion. Yes, obviously water requirement is quite lesser than the ammonia and quite larger than the uricotalic, so it is moderate. Ureotalic, I have make small flow chart for you. See how our body will do this, how mammal will create all this mechanism. See, by various metabolic activities, nitrogenous waste are produced in our body, especially ammonia. So, ammonia is also produced in our body, but as it is very toxic, it is transported to the liver. Liver soon convert ammonia to urea. This urea is transported to kidney for the excretion. Here it divided into two small fraction. A small fraction of the urea is remain inside the matrix for the osmoregulation and rest of the ammonia is excreted through the kidney. So this is the mechanism which mammals adopt, most of the mammals, right? Because ammonia is the produced already, but ammonia is converted to urea. Then the uricotalic, which is very easy, excretion of the uric acid. It is less soluble mostly, so forms the palate paste, like a Colgate paste, right? Not solid, not liquid, like a paste it will form. Reptiles, birds, snail, mammals are excrete uric acid. And as I told you, very less amount of the water required over here. So some animal who has to conserve the water, no, they also excrete urea like this way, right? So this is easy. Uricotalic definition: excretion of the uric acid. Urea is excreted in form of the pellet or paste. Reptile, birds, land snails and insect will do this, and minimum loss of the water is occur over here. Now see, I have make small conclusion. Okay, water requirement and the energy requirement relation. Both relation are reversible, means if water requirement is less, energy requirement is more. Water requirement is more, energy requirement is less. We already studied in aminotalic, water requirement is more, so less energy is required. Ureotalic, moderate amount of the water and water requirement, so moderate amount of the energy requirement. And in ureotalic, obviously less water is required, so highest the energy requirement. So water requirement is reversible to the energy requirement. Opposite, aminotalic required more water and less energy. Ureotalic required both. Uricotalic require both same. Ureotalic required less water and more energy. Okay, see, this is the important point for the 1 mark MCQ, the excretory organs. I have make a small chart so that it will be easy, right? Reading a paragraph is quite boring, but this type of the flowchart is easy. So see, excretory organs in the example, phlegm cells or protonephridias are there in the platyhelminth, reptile, cephalochordates, especially Amphioxus and in some annelids. Nephridias are there in the annelids, for example earthworm. Malpighian tubules are there in the most of the insect like cockroaches. Green gland and internal glands are there in the crustaceans, especially prawns, and kidneys are there in all mammals including chondrocytites, osteocytites, eels and amphibians and reptiles and mammals, right? So kidney are there in all vertebrates. So this is a small chart. Okay, fine. Main theory starts, the human excretory system. You may ask this in 3 marks, right? Okay, what it consists? A pair of kidney, here is the kidneys, a pair of ureter, this is one, a pair of the single urinary bladder, and a urethra. So this is a human excretory system. Explain excretory system, you may ask in 3 marks. Okay, let's begin with the structure. It's a bean shaped organ. It is located between the last thoracic and third lumbar vertebrate and very close to the abdominal wall. Length is about 10 to 12 centimeter. Width is about 5 to 7 centimeter. Thickness is about 2 to 3 centimeter. Weight is about 120 to 170 gram. Outside it is almost concave. From inner side it is from outside it is convex and inner side it is concave. It has a notch like structure, that's the hilum, from where artery and nerves enter, vein and ureter leaves. Outside it has a tuft capsule. See this is a notch like structure, hilum, ये वाला पोर्शन hilum. हिलम में आर्टरी एंड नर्व एंटर होगी एंड ऑफ कोर्स वेन एंड यूरेटर लीव्स. See the outer portion, it is almost concave, and see the inner portion, it is almost outer portion convex, inner portion concave. Yes, see the hilum, I told you no, hilum is a notch like structure, but hilum are form a tubular structure inside it called as the renal pelvis. Renal pelvis forms a conical projection like this is called as the calycis. Whole kidney is divided into two portions. Outer portion is the cortex and inner portion is the medulla. Above the calycis, a pyramid-like structure or a masses of the cell is produced called as the medullary pyramids. तो ये है medullary pyramid. And the most important line over here is the column of Bertini. What is it? A cortex extended between the medullary pyramid is called as the column of Bertini. Right, hilum, funnel shaped structure. Hilum forms a projection calycis, two region of the kidney, cortex and medulla. Medulla form a conical mask. Over the calycis is the medullary pyramid, and cortex extended between the medullary pyramid is the column of Bertini. Here is the diagram of the textbook, right? Make a bean shaped structure, then make a funnel shaped structure, small projection you can make. Above that projection make a triangle part, and in this way you can draw this, right? Medullary pyramids, and this is a renal column, this is a calycis, and this is a pyramids. Two region, to outer side is the capsule, arteries, veins and ureter. Okay, nephron, this is the microstructure of the kidney. Kidney have 1 millions of the complex tubular structure. It is the structural, you can say functional unit. Two part of it, one is the glomerulus and the renal tubule. Glomerulus is the network of a tubule. Afferent Bowman's capsule. Inside the Bowman's capsule, the arteries enter is called as the afferent, and those artery leaves is called as the efferent. So in this way glomerulus is formed. ये जो network है, that network is the glomerulus and the renal tubule. See this is the flow chart how the whole nephron goes. So first it consists of Bowman's capsule like this. It is a double walled structure and a cup like structure. It is enclosed in a glomerulus. उसके अंदर efferent और efferent arteriole का एक network है, that's the glomerulus. Bowman's capsule plus glomerulus combinedly called as the Malpighian tubules. तो ये पूरा structure, this structure is Malpighian tubules. Then it is converted to coiled structure called as the proximal convoluted tubule. Then it is converted to a U-shaped hairpin structure, loop of Henle. Descending part is of Henle and ascending part of the Henle. Again it will form a coiled structure called as the distal convoluted tubule, and then it is converted to the collecting duct. Clear? So ये पूरा flow chart है, how it goes, right? See the textbook diagram. Glomerulus, proximal convoluted tubule, U-shaped Henle, distal convoluted tubule and collecting duct. Afferent arteriole forms a network around the loop of Henle is called as the vasa recta, very important line. If this is a Henle's loop, then afferent arteriole forms a network around this. That network is called as the vasa recta. What is it called as? It is called as the vasa recta. Okay. Here we have to discuss two type of the nephron, that's the cortical and the juxta. Cortical have a highly reduced vasa recta. Vasa recta is almost not there. So afferent arteriole forms a network around the renal tubule. So it is called as the peritubular capillary. Definition of the peritubular capillary it is, right? What is peritubular capillaries? It is almost 85%. Here juxta Henle's loop is deeply penetrated into medulla. So different capillaries forms a network around the loop of Henle called as the vasa recta, and it is about 15%. I have written it in form of the difference because you may ask the difference also, right? So already I have written it in the form of the difference. So let's discuss again. Here loop of Henle is reduced, here it is well developed. Vasa recta is absent, here vasa recta is present. Afferent arteriole forms a network around the renal tubule because vasa recta is absent. So it is called as the peritubular capillaries. Here peritubular capillaries are not present. 85% are the conical and 15% are the juxta. Okay, so this is all the information about the microstructure as well as the nephron as well as the afferent arteriole and efferent arteriole. See, this is the Bowman, right? See, this is a Bowman's capsule, right, like this, and this is the afferent arteriole. The diameter of the afferent arteriole is more than the diameter of efferent. See, the efferent diagram is efferent diameter is very slow, and this is the network of the glomerulus. Combinedly, this one is the Malpighian tubules. This one is the afferent, this one is the efferent. Diameter of afferent is more and diameter is efferent is less. Am I clear? So this is the structural unit, Malpighian tubules. Okay, thank you.